for being here tonight. We're so excited. Beach Bash, though, how many of y'all like going to the beach? Okay. Okay. How many of y'all hate going to the beach? I know there are some people in here. Seth Ledger, when I wrote this message, I was thinking of you. And those cowboy boots that he wears barefoot without socks. I was thinking, okay, I knew you were going to say that you hate the beach. Okay, how many, one more time, you like the beach, though. You like the beach, okay. Okay, hands down. How many of y'all, like, you like the beach because all that you want to do is just lay there and get a tan? How many of that people? Okay. Austin, dude, you're already brown. You're Mexican, bro. Okay, so like when I think of going to the beach, there's a couple things I think of. One, when I go with my wife, she's got one objective when she goes to the beach. Now me, I really struggle at the beach for a couple reasons. One, the sand. I was thinking about this, okay? I was thinking, when God made the beach, could he have made it with something different besides sand? Okay, sand is the worst creation. I think sand is like worse than spiders, honestly. Like, spiders, I rarely see them. If I see them, I can kill them. Sand, okay, when I come back from the beach, I'm picking out sand from places that sand was never supposed to be sandy, okay? I'm picking it out of cracks and crevices, and you know what I'm talking about? Like it's stuck all between your toes, and it's in your ears, and it's like, for me, it's like in my armpit hair, and you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was checking to see if I had sand for some reason. Y'all went, oh, because it's armpit hair. Sorry, my bad. So when I go to the beach, though, like I think of like how much I hate sand. And if the water's cold, it's kind of like all this beautiful water, and I ain't going in. It's too cold. So I'm now going to lay here, and I don't know what to do. Now, my wife, on the other hand, she knows exactly what to do. She goes to the beach, and she literally lays there like she's just dead. Like, I checked her pulse one time because I couldn't tell. You know, like you see them, they're all sweaty, their eyes are like rolled back. Is that just my wife? Like, she loves the beach. I mean, she could just stay there forever. Like, I like the beach, but I hate getting sand everywhere I go. Okay, now there's a couple people in the room, two of you specifically. You're the person, I know it. Check this. You say this. You go, now when I go there, I'm going to get burned on purpose because afterwards it's going to turn into a tan. My wife does that every time. She looks like a lobster when she leaves. Like, she gets so red. And then the next day, she's still red. And I go, I told you, you should put sunblock on. Then there's the other person in the room, okay, that when you go to the beach, you put on like SPF like 1,000 when you go to the beach because you know you're about to get torched so hard. Like, you wear a bucket hat, you stay on an umbrella all day because you know like what it's going to be like. Now, I like enjoy going to the beach, but the sand, and for me, it's so much work to put sunblock on because if you miss a spot, then there's that one streak that gets torched, and it looked like you got like a red tattoo on your arm right here, right, because you're so burnt. I got so burnt one time when I was in Mexico on vacation. I had to fill the entire tub, no joke, with cold water and ice, and I had to sink down in it and just lay in it there because I was so burnt. I couldn't do anything about it. And then this last time that we just got there, I got bit by a jellyfish when I was there. It was stupid crazy. I'm not even joking. I'll post it like on my story or something so you can see the picture. Like, I got bit like in my back right here by a jellyfish, and somehow all of these like jellyfish or whatever they were, they plant little baby jellyfish or whatever they are in like the seaweed, and I got bit and it turned into this huge, it was blistered, it was gross. I got bit by a jellyfish. Okay, so that's a real story. But when I think of the beach, this is the other thing I think of. Here's my biggest pet peeve ever, all time, biggest pet peeve. When you go to the beach, and there's those people, you know those people that intentionally go to the gym, and they like work out with everything they have, so that when they go to the beach, they're gonna be walking out showing off everything they have to everybody that will watch. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about those people that when you see them on the beach, that's nice. Like you see them on the beach, and you can tell on purpose. They like for 6 months straight basically starved themselves and they worked out, right? So when they go to the beach, they can be looking all good. And then I'm over here, I actually do go to the gym, and I'm just like, I'm like all self-conscious now, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, why did I even go to the gym? I'm comparing my body to, this is kind of what I feel like right here. 1 second. Here, hold this mic. Got my fanny pack. And then I go to the gym, and I'm working with everything I got, and come here, step out here. I'm serious though. There's this self-consciousness I have that I'm trying with everything I got, and then I see that one dude that comes out on the beach. What's funny is underneath this shirt, this is actually Josh Thompson right here. And then I go to the beach, and I see this guy out on the beach here. You can take this fanny pack with you. Give Muscles Josh a hand for me. They're right there. Give him a hand. Okay, so this might not be like an actual scenario with you, right? For me, it actually is. I get self-conscious when I'm out there. I'm just like, oh, they look so good, and I'm ugly, you know, like. But for me, when I think about it, that comparison to you is an actual thing. Every day, everywhere you go, everything you do with whoever you're with, there is some sort of comparison that when you look at somebody else, you somehow look at them and immediately you go, them versus you. Either they can do this, or they look like this, or this is how they operate versus you. And you somehow, it's like your beach experience, when you go there, you immediately compare, well, this is how they look, or this is what they're capable of, or, you know, this is how much money they have, or this is what they can, achieve or do, right? And there's this comparison in us that every single one of us deal with. You either do this. You either compare yourself to others, or you look around and you compare others to others. Now, I know this. How many of y'all like people watching, right? You sit there and just people watch, right? That's really just comparison in disguise. We're just being nice and calling it people watching. But really what it is each person that walks by, you're comparing them. You're comparing, well, that guy walked funny, and that guy looked like this, and that girl was this. And each of us, we have a struggle with something, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. There's a struggle with how we look at ourselves versus others. See, it was never made to be this versus thing. It was never made to be you versus me and you versus you. It was made to be you, me, both completely designed uniquely by God, that there's you and me, that there's Dave, Krist, and there's Big Abe in the back. What's up, Big Abe? I love you, Abe. There's Alex, there's Nathan. What's up? That we're all completely separate. Like, it's like I say your name and you're like, hey, like you don't know, everybody just gets awkward. Like you were made to be different. You were made to be unique. You were made to be special. Yet what we do is we take something that God created to be a unique design, us, and we compare it to somebody else that God made to be a unique design, somebody else. And what we do is we create this little versus thing. And we start comparing about, well, this is what this person is, and this is what I am, and this is what they can do, and this is what I can do, and this is what their past is and my past, and this is how tall they are and how short I am, and this is, how wide they are and how skinny I am, and this is what kind of food they like and I don't like, and whatever it is. And we start comparing all these different things, and comparison really becomes a disease. Y'all got me? We're gonna have real talk tonight. When I was preparing for this, I was just like, okay, man, is this too much for like the opening night? No, because I think tonight we need to talk about some real issues that we all actually have that nobody wants to talk about. The elephant in the room. This is what Scripture says about comparison. It says in Galatians 6, chapter 6, verses 4 and 5. Each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone, without comparing themselves to somebody else. For each one should carry their own load. And so I want you to think about this. Maybe think about different scenarios every day for you, people that you come across, the way you picture yourself, maybe when you get up and you look in the mirror every day, and all the different comparisons that happen all the time. It happens for so many different reasons. Maybe for some of you, you fall into the comparison trap and it looks something like this.
First tan of the summer!
First tan of the summer! No, your tan still looks really good. I promise. It still looks so good.
Seriously? Not again. Jinx! Jinx again! Stop talking when I'm talking! You're the worst. I feel like our whole lives, you've always tried to look like me. I'm not trying.
Oh, I love school shopping. Just
Me
got my-
too. Oh, it's a little hot in here. Hold on.
You're just gonna throw that? Oh, you got. That's a cool. I like that sweatshirt.
You like it? Hold on,
Yeah,
watch
that
this.
one's pretty. Oh. You got a third one, eh? I heard your dad got a new job. Oh, well, cool. High five.
Here, this one's an extra. They got the wrong color.
Thanks. My mom said this one was one size fits all.
Team Jacob.
Team Edward.
Team Jacob.
Team Edward.
Team Jacob.
Team Edward.
Guys.
PETA. No. Gail.
Ba 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 ba.
Is that paleo?
Yes.
You know what? That actually does look pretty good. So
Not before I take a picture. Can you move that out of the way? Actually, can you get your flashlight out? Yes, that angle, that lighting. Hashtag paleo, hashtag Whole30, hashtag paleo princess.
hashtag forever, hashtag nasty.
Hashtag blessed. Look at that. Isn't it perfect?
I mean, I guess. I can do better.
Stay down.
I don't know what just happened. Okay, so maybe that was like a little bit exaggerated here. But honestly, think about it. Clothing brands, working out, food, social media has shown us like we compare all the time. You don't even know you're doing it. You're constantly seeing the new something that somebody bought or the food that they're eating or what kind of clothes they have, what they own. You're seeing it all the time in front of you. And every day basically is a decision of whether you're going to compare what you have versus what they have. Do you guys know, zone in with me here, do you know why comparison is so deadly? Like it seems like something like, is that really that big of a deal? Like that I compare like what somebody has to what I have? Like, is there a way around that? Do you know why it's so deadly? Because it is painfully inflicted from you upon you. It's not something that someone did to you. It's not something that just went wrong in your life, and because that, you now compare. Literally, it's personal abuse that you place on yourself every day. The thoughts in your mind, your actions, every day you're looking around at the world around you, and you're comparing that world to you. And you feel this lack, you feel like this hole, you feel whatever it is that you feel, and it's because of you. It's not because anybody did anything wrong to you. See, it's not wrong that somebody owns like Adidas clothing or Nike clothing or this car or that car or eats that food or does that. There's nothing wrong with it. What becomes wrong is when you look in on that and compare it to yourself, and then you abuse yourself is what you do. You abuse yourself through your mind, through your self-image, through whatever you feel. It's abuse is what it is. And that's why it's so dangerous. And sometimes we look at it as like, well, like, you know, like, it's on social media every day. Like, well, how do I even stop that? Like, what can I even do about that? Like, let's talk about it. So here's step one. The first thing that you need to understand is, and this is not for the ladies, by the way. This is for everybody in the room. Comparison creates insecurity. That's the first thing I want to talk about. When you continue to compare, when you choose to set your mind on not the things of God, but everything else around you, it creates this deep insecurity in you that honestly is really, really hard to get out of. It's like a hamster in one of those balls, and you just watch it, and it trying to get out, and it keeps moving, and it can't move anywhere but around and around and around the same spot over and over and over again. See, you know what insecurity is? It's a silent killer. It's something where some of you have been like, well, I've just always kind of felt insecure about my life. I've always just sort of thought I was second rate, or maybe I wasn't as good as somebody else, and you haven't ever stopped to wonder, is that okay? Is that normal? Is that what it should be? That maybe you shouldn't have more confidence, that maybe God doesn't have a better plan for you? And insecurity is this silent killer that doesn't seem like a big deal, and it slowly just finds some sort of opening in your life, and then it gets in your life, and it completely takes over. It strangles you basically until it's going to kill you. And social media just makes it super easy, where every day you can hop on any social media. You can hop on Instagram, even Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, whatever it is, and especially, man, with the girls, Pinterest, holy smokes. You get on there and you're like, oh my gosh, they make the cutest stuff ever. Oh, I want to make that. I want to make a homemade table out of a person. Like, you know, it's like, oh my, that was so cute how they did that. Oh my. Pinterest is like, oh, it's rough, man. Because see what it is you're looking in, you're going, oh my gosh, I want to be able to do that. Oh my gosh, I want to be like that. Oh my gosh, I wish my life was like that. And it's not just the girls. It's not. Like social media, it's in front of us so much that this is what we constantly think. We constantly think, well, this shirt's already out of style. I got to buy a new one now. These shoes are 2 weeks old. I need another pair. Honestly, as much as like we can make it a joke and stuff, this is what we do. The clothes we wear aren't cool enough because somehow some artist out there or some movie star or something, they're wearing this brand now, and we see it and we're like, I gotta have that. I gotta have that. Like, I remember at one point, Nike was like all the rage, and then overnight, Adidas was like the next hot thing in an instant. Just because some rapper chose to say, okay, Adidas Original, I'm gonna wear this all the time. And next thing I know, Adidas Original is hot. And then Reebok, which died and died and died like years ago, came back to life, came back from the dead. Some of y'all didn't even know what Reebok, see, I grew up wearing Reeboks. You didn't even know what it was until like a year ago when it just chose to be hot again. And constantly you look at clothing, you look at phones, technology, whatever it is, it's constantly advancing and we're trying to keep up. Oh man, my hairstyle is like literally out already. That trend is dead. Crap, why did I shave just one side? That's dead already. And we hop into a trend and then the trend switches and we feel this need to hop into the next one. Oh, we ain't with it. You will never, ever in your entire life be able to keep up. And this sounds like simple, and for some of you, you're like, oh my, no, I could never do this. But literally all that you got to do is go home and unfollow some people on your social media, and overnight your life would start clearing up. Don't touch my social media. Literally, unfollow this artist, unfollow that clothing company, unfollow this on Pinterest, and overnight you would see like this clarity in your life. Stop following every single like workout, gymnast, whatever person on there that shows how to get your butt bigger, girls and guys, get abs and get bigger muscles and all this stuff that people follow, that literally people follow. And if you just like removed it, overnight you would probably stop comparing yourself. Because then when you look in the mirror, you're trying to do all the same stuff they're saying to do on social media, and your body just don't respond like that. Oh, crazy, because every body type is a little bit different. And we don't all respond to things certain ways. And you can't just not eat, or you can't just work out a ton. And they're like, you know, don't eat carbs and just eat nothing but protein. And you do that, next thing you're like, oh, that didn't work at all. Maybe because like your body ain't gonna respond the same way as somebody else. This is just crazy. All of our DNA is completely unique and different, yet somehow we think that everything just works the same for everybody. Like we're all completely unique and different designs, yet when we look on social media, we're like, well, it works for them. Why doesn't it work for me? I don't know, because you're not them, idiot. You're you. Literally. This is how we think, though. When we get caught in this trap of comparison, when we constantly want to be somebody else, when God just created us to be us. You realize how a trend starts, right? How any trend, it starts. A bunch of people are doing something at once. Let's say in the 50s, they all had short hair. And then finally one day, some person goes, you know what? I'm going to grow my hair out. Or I'm going to wear bigger, like, baggier pants or whatever it is, right? That person does it, and then everybody's like, oh my gosh, you see what they're doing? And then everybody else starts doing it, and before you know it, a whole world goes from short hair to long hair overnight in the 70s. And then one day, somebody wakes up and they go, I think I'm going to cut my hair off again. And then they chop their hair, they do something different, and then everybody else follows, and a trend starts. Why does a trend start? Because everyone's comparing. Because they're comparing themselves to somebody else, so they want to do something else, and then once they do something else, everybody else compares themselves to them, so they do what they're doing. And then everybody's finally doing the same thing again, and then somebody decides to do something new again, and everybody follows it. And it's this vicious cycle, literally every single generation, like every 10 years, basically. Y'all realize, like, when I was in high school, ripped jeans were, like, popular. They went completely out of style. Literally, almost to date, 10 years later, ripped jeans came back. That's all it is. It's trends of people comparing themselves to other people, wanting to do something different because they compared themselves. They do it, and everyone else follows. There's some bizarre trends that get started. Y'all heard of, like, nose hair extensions, right? That's an actual trend right now. It's called nose hair extensions. Now you look at that and you think, oh my gosh, that's so disgusting. I can't believe anybody, I would never do that. But you know what happens? People look at that and somebody's like, okay, I guess I'll try it. And somebody tries it. And then it gets a small group going. And then here's what happens. You look at that. How many things have you looked at before and you said, I'll never do that? And you've done it. You've done it. You lie into yourself if you say you ain't doing it. You've done it. You say, I'll never do that. Next thing you know, about a year later, you're like, okay, well, everybody else is doing it. I better grow my nose hair out. I was like Googling this, man. Like, it's so weird. It looks like, some of them look like spider legs that were like wrapped around people's nostrils. They just had these little ones. Why would people do something crazy like this? Because finally enough people are doing it and they don't want to feel left out because they're comparing themselves to do it. And they will finally do something even stupid as this to join in. Now, I'm sorry if there's anybody in the room that I haven't spotted yet and you have nose hair extensions. I love you. I love you. I love you. I got nothing wrong with you. You can have those extensions, man. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. This is what happens. Like, even like to people that are close. It could be family members, twins. It could be friends, co-workers, like people that you see on a regular basis, people that you're close to, people that you have no problem with. This is what happens. When you look through the lens of comparison, and you look at somebody already comparing to them, you will only ever see someone else's successes as your failures. You will look at somebody and you will see how well they're doing in something, how much they're growing, or how much they're going after something, or how much they've achieved. And you will only ever see the things that they've achieved as your failures. And see, someone else's successes was never made to be the measure of what success is. What God is doing in you specifically and what he's completing in you is the only measure of success. You realize when God looks out, he doesn't go successful, unsuccessful, successful, unsuccessful, successful, unsuccessful. You realize that's not how it works, right? That's what we do. We label people and we go, oh my gosh, that person's so successful. They're a billionaire. Okay, whoa. So money is the measure of success? Is that what you're telling me? Man, have you seen their house? Man, have you seen how good they are at sports? Man, have you seen how creative they... Those things are all the measures of success. Man, last time I checked, I served a God that made me unique, and his measure for me is not the same measure for you. And the way he looks at me and measures my life is that he says, okay, Dave, this is what I'm doing in you. I'm doing a completed work, and it's going to take time, and you're a work in progress, Dave. Look around the person next to you and say, hey, you are a work in progress. You tell them right now, you're a work in progress. You don't tell them they're successful. You tell them you're a work in progress. Right? So when we compare ourselves, right, this is what we do. Really catch this. We allow insecurity to devalue God. Check, follow. When you look at somebody and you compare yourself to somebody else that was supposed to be a unique design and you're a unique design, and when you do that, you allow insecurity to devalue God. Literally to take him as God and say, well, you're not God. Why? Because his creation, he's the creator, his creation, us, he thinks we're pretty sweet, each of us individually. He made us unique. You know, like some of y'all that got like a super weird laugh in the room that when you laugh, everyone else can't help but laugh at you because you laugh so weird. If you've never hung out with Thomas, after service, let's watch a YouTube video that will make us laugh, and we'll all laugh at Thomas together, right? See, when you look at somebody else and you go, oh my gosh, I'm not like that. I don't look like that. I can't do that. What you do is you devalue God, and you tell God he's not God. That's what you do. Because see, when God made you, he said, I'm making you unique, and you're not like anybody else. You're you. Fill in the blank. Whatever you is, your name, that's you. See, your parents, they didn't create you. They didn't have the plan to have you. I had that plan, God says. And so when you look at somebody else and you go, oh, man, I wish I was that. Oh, man, I wish I could do that. What you're doing, you're just saying, well, God, you're not that important because you created me and the work you're doing in me, I'm whatever because I want to be this. What comparison does is it begins to wrap us up in this insecurity. Your insecurities, you're like, man, why am I so depressed all the time? Because you're allowing comparison to drive your insecurities. So you're depressed. Some of you in the room, you're cutting. Some of you in the room with eating disorders, suicidal thoughts. Oh, I just feel suicidal all the time. Why am I like this? I don't know. Maybe because you haven't found out that you're completely unique and you're special and you don't need to be like anybody else, and God made you the way you're supposed to be to serve him and give him glory. And you're looking around, I was like, man, I wish I was like this person. Man, they can do that. I wish I was that. Why am I so depressed all the time? Oh my gosh. Because you're not supposed to be that and that and this and that. You're supposed to be this, you. You're supposed to be unique and special. and you're depressed and you're cutting yourself and you have these eating disorders and things that I've dealt with people for many years that have some serious stuff. And literally it's something as simple as you start saying, you know what? God, my creator, made me his creation something special. And I got to stop looking around and devaluing who I am. But you know what? You're special, you're special, you're special, you're special. And I got no problem saying that. You want to know why? Because I'm special. And see, I can value you and I can encourage you and I can lift you up because I already know who I am. I know that I'm unique. I know that there's nobody like me. If there was, we would be in big trouble if there was two of me. And two of you, we'd be in more trouble too. Can you imagine two of everybody in the room? Man, this party would be bumping tonight. This would be. But what we start doing is we start looking at each other and then and then insecurity cultivates fear. And then we become fearful of being alone. So all y'all in a relationship right now, and you were in a relationship right before this, or you're getting ready to get in a relationship, you want to know why? Because you're scared to be alone. Because you're so insecure. Because you don't even know who you are. You have no confidence in who you are. And so you go relationship to relationship to relationship because you are so scared. You're a scared little kid. And you could be so full of confidence. You could be so built up, so pumped up. You could have so much going for you. But you hop from thing to thing to thing because you have this fear of being alone. You got a fear of being left out. FOMO, anybody in the room, that's me, fear of being left out. So then, but the problem is what you do is you jump from bad crowd to bad crowd to bad crowd. Bad friends to bad friends to bad friends because you just want to fit in because you have a fear of being left out. When all along you could become so content just in who you are because of who Jesus is, but you just hop from bad circumstance to bad circumstance because you just got this fear of being left out, fear of not being enough. Now, hey, I'm not putting down makeup. Hear me very clearly when I say this. Some girls, though, you cloud your face so abruptly with makeup for one reason, because you hate what you look like. It's not because you're doing art or because I know there's some girls that just love makeup and they love art. Some of our leaders are like that. I appreciate that. I think it's cool. But listen, you do it because you hate what is underneath that makeup. And you look in the mirror and you truly hate it. So you think if it's like some model or whoever on the television screen or on social media, when you see them, man, if I could just do that, then maybe I'll look like that. And then you do that and you look in the mirror and you look nothing like it. Why? Because you can't look like them if you wanted to, because you can only look like you. And you have this fear, you have this real fear of not being enough. Some of the dudes in the room, tough guys. You put on this front, you act like you got it all together, like you're so tough. You like walk around like in chill mode. And you know why you're doing that? Because you're just so insecure with everything underneath that you can't just remove it for a second and just realize that, listen, here, we are one, this place, we just love you for who you are and we're glad that you're here. You don't got to make believe or pretend or fairy tale anybody in this room. And you definitely don't need to do it with Jesus Christ. Like, he loves you just for who you are. Why? I don't know, because he created who you are. Girls, real talk for a second. Why does someone else's beauty have to be your ugliness? Why can't you just look at another young lady and be like, man, they're so beautiful, just like me? And it doesn't have to be arrogance. It really can be confidence. Like, why can't you look at somebody and say, man, they're so beautiful? Why can't you admire someone else's beauty and admire your own? Why when you look at somebody else, you go, oh, they're so beautiful and I'm so ugly? Why does it have to be this battle within you where you can't look at somebody and just admire God's creation in them and also admire God's creation in you? Also, why is it that you have to wait for some guy to tell you that you're beautiful or that he loves you to finally feel validated? Why isn't when God spoke breath into you and he created you and he said, I got a plan for you, young lady, and I think you're beautiful, and I think I got some purpose for you, and I think I'm going to set you on a path and a journey, and you're having an amazing life. Why isn't that God wasn't enough? Why do you need some other idiot, moron, jerk of a guy to finally tell you, oh, you're so beautiful, baby? And then finally you feel validated. And then finally you're like, oh, someone noticed me. I feel so special. Maybe he doesn't want anything out of you. That's not what it is. That's not why he's saying it. Why is it that you let some punk kid, girls, some punk kid tell you how beautiful and precious and special you are, and then you're like, oh, my heart is melted. When God Almighty, your creator, the lover of your soul, tells you at the very beginning of time and space, and he created you, and he looked into everything, and he said, I'm going to plant this person and this young lady and this young lady, and they're going to be beautiful in my sight, and I got a plan for them, and they're going to be mothers, and then they're going to be daughters, and they're going to do amazing things in the world, and why can't you just feel special about that? Why is that you waiting on somebody else to finally tell you, to make you feel special enough to finally make it all kick? I think Pastor Luke had it right. Girls, you know this. Bought with a price and chosen. You'll live in days abused, risk, body image, so on. Looking for a real, I can't say it like Pastor, feel good, walk around broken with boys. Guess what? Why isn't that honestly can't click with you? Where you can realize that you were bought with a price and chosen. Boys. Your turn, young lads, your turn. Boys. If you're with your friends and they're talking about having sex, and they're talking about being with some girl the other night, whatever they did, they're talking about what they're looking at on the internet or whatever it is. I know because I was in those moments. I know this when you get around the right circles, wrong circles, at school, work, whatever it is. I know this is what guys talk about. I'm sitting at the lunch table and I'm in sex ed class basically. I didn't have a clue and they're saying all these things and I walked away. I'm I literally don't know what's going on right now. Why is it that you want to compare your life to people like that? Why is it that you admire that? Why do you want to be friends with those people? Why do you admire those people? Why is it that you in any way would compare your life to that? First off, let me just get this clear in a second in the room here. They don't know anything about sex. I didn't realize that till finally I got married. And I'd sit there and they'd have all these adventure stories of what they did over the weekend. They got drunk and they slept with this person and did that and all that. And finally, then I got married and I realized they don't know anything about sex. Want to know why? Because until you get married, until you do it God's way, until you finally wait and you make it precious and you make it special. And listen, if you messed up, cool. Start right now because you don't even know what sex is if you've done it outside of marriage. You don't have a clue. You do it God's way. You get married under God's covenant, God's will, and then you will see what sex is like for the first time. And you'll be so glad. You'll be like, man, I'm so glad I waited. You don't have a clue. So first off, when everybody's talking, why are you trying to compare your life to them? Because they don't even know what they're talking about. They don't even know what sex is. They don't even know what all these things are. Listen, you think the internet can teach you? You think pornography can teach you what sex is? That ain't sex. That's not sex. Until you do it God's way, until you step into God's ways, until you wait and you're patient, and you finally say, okay, God, your ways, that's not sex. But what we do is we compare ourselves, and we're sitting there, and we're feeling all sorry. I remember 16 years old, feeling all sorry, man, I wish I could go do this right now because I feel so stupid. I feel so left out, getting made fun of and called a virgin and all these things. I'm sitting there feeling so stupid when they didn't have a clue the whole time what they were talking about. Because until you do it God's way, you don't have a clue. So if you're in the room, and if you have not already done it God's ways, then let me give you some confidence. You still have something to look forward to because you don't have a clue. And if you will save yourself from this moment on, if you'll say, I'm going to walk in purity, if you'll say, it's God's ways from here on out, when you get to marriage and you finally wait and do it the right way, you still have something to look forward to. So don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself down. Don't feel discouraged. God wants to make you brand new tonight. So stop comparing yourself to everybody else in the world that thinks they have a clue. They don't have a clue unless it's under Jesus Christ's banner. God created sex, y'all. It was God's design. The pornography industry didn't create sex. God created sex. Your classmates at school didn't create sex. God created sex. And we walk around all ashamed. We walk around feeling stupid. I remember 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 years old until I finally got married. I walked around just feeling oh, gosh. I feel like I'm the only one in the world that hasn't had sex. So first off, boys, you don't got a clue. So stop sitting there thinking like you're having man talk. You think you know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Secondly, why are you hanging out around with people that talk like that? For real. Why do you put yourself in situations and scenarios where you let people talk like that, because this is what it does. When you're with those people, that comparison will then promote compromise in your life. You will begin to compromise. You know, when I said, like, the things that you said, well, I'll never do that, and next thing you know, you're doing that, things that you said, I'll never go there, next thing you know, you're going there, it's because you begin to compromise. We become so focused on culture, on trends, on clothing, on social media, sexuality, on entertainment, being in the know, on Justin Bieber's engagement. And how many girls on that day, they just want to kill themselves. They're like, oh my gosh, my life is over. Justin Bieber's engaged. And honestly though, we become so caught up with having to know what's going on in the world and all these things, comparing ourselves to all these things, that you realize what you're doing, right? You're compromising the only thing that matters, Jesus Christ. The only thing that matters in your life is Jesus. This is what it says in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 4. It says, no one serving as a soldier gets entangled in civilian affairs, but rather tries to please his commanding officer. What's that saying? If you're made to be a soldier and you're made to do warfare and military things, you don't worry yourself with this over here. Listen, you cannot serve the world and serve Jesus. You cannot be caught up with the world and be caught up with Jesus. It doesn't work like that. It's either have the world or have Jesus. And I'll tell you this, if you're thinking you want the world, cool, have it. Just give me Jesus. I don't need anything from this world. I don't need anything. I don't need nice clothes, although I have nice clothes. I don't need nice anything. I don't need anything from this world. Just give me Jesus. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve the world and serve Jesus, but this is what we do, and this is why we compromise. We begin to compromise our faith. Insecurity is an internal dispute. It's warfare inside of yourself. It's inside of your mind. It's inside of you. You're fighting inside. But see, compromise, you know what compromise is? It's where you actually begin to walk out and flesh out decisions. It's when you begin to make the wrong decisions. It's when you begin to hang out with the wrong people. It's when you find yourself at the wrong places at the wrong time. And you know what I'm talking about. You know what compromise is? It's lowering your standards from God's, is what it is. It's saying, okay, here's God's standard, and this is how God wants me to live, and then you lower your standards, and you compromise it all the way down here for something else. And then some of you, you're having a bad day, you feel bad, and what you do is you put down others to elevate yourself and make yourself feel better. Why? Because you've compromised. When God has called us to encourage each other, to lift each other up, to live a certain life, a certain way for His name, what you do is you compromise. And so when you're having a bad day, you put down others because you think if you can lower them, it actually raises you. When you're compromising, you know what you do? You actually lower yourself below them. You actually are a bigger joke than they are. And when we begin to compromise with God, when this sin begins to grab a hold of us, that's what it is. It's sin. We set ourselves up when we compromise. You might think it's not that big of a deal. I know I'm dating them. I know they're not a Christian like I am, but it's not that big a deal. Next thing you know, you've been in church for like 6 months. Why? Compromise. But I mean, like, those friends, though, they're really good people, though. And they don't have anything in common with you. They don't in any way want to serve God like you do. It's compromise. And you might think that little compromise is not a big deal, but that little compromise, it takes you down a road that finally is going to lead to destruction. It takes you down a road that finally you can't come back from. And next thing you know, you are so far from God. You know what compromise does? Compromise gets you so focused on yourself, and it gets all of your attention off God. It gets you so focused on yourself and all of your attention off of others. See, when we were born into sin, the Bible says, which means at the very beginning, you had pride in your heart. You were sinful. Now, pride is the root of all sin. It's because of pride that we do any sort of sin. It's because we're prideful. Every single one of us have pride. But this is what compromise does. When we compromise, it gets us so focused on ourselves, so focused on what we want, so focused on how we feel, not on who God is or what He has or what is going on in the world or the needs of people or anything. We become so prideful. Comparison fuels pride. See, pride was already there, but what happens is when you step into comparison and when you begin to compromise and when you let insecurity take root, it begins to fuel your pride in such a way that nobody exists but you. I remember it was like so humbling. I was like 16, 17 years old. My youth pastor bought me a shirt and it had a world on it with this guy like running around the world, and it says, yes, the world does revolve around me. That hit me, and it hit me right in the chest. And I go, wow, I am so selfish. I am so prideful. Like I'm all about myself. And this pride begins to fuel and fuel and fuel and build. You know, it's not that we just struggle with comparing ourselves to other people and how much worse we are than them. It gets even worse. We compare ourselves to how much better we are than other people. Come on. Let's be really honest tonight. You look at other people and you think, man, my life is more put together than theirs. I don't sin like that. I would never do that. I can't believe them. Did you hear they slept with this person? And we start not only just feeling bad and saying, oh my gosh, compared to that person, I'm fat. Or compared to that person, man, I'm so ugly. Or compared to that person, I have nothing. But on top of that, we look at other people and we go, man, I got more, my life's more together than that person. And this comparison begins to fuel this pride in us. There's a famous author, his name's C.S. Lewis, famous Christian author. And he wrote a book called Mere Christianity, and this is what he said. He said, pride gets no pleasure out of having something, only out of having more of it than the next man. It is the comparison that makes you proud, the pleasure of being above the rest. Once the element of competition is gone, pride is gone. Pride is the beginning of all sin. You know what pride is? The focus of pride is me before you. Me before God. In the beginning, God created this beautiful angel. His name was Lucifer. He was a worship leader. He led all the worship in heaven. I mean, the Bible says that this was the most beautiful angel that God had ever created. And he would lead the worship. That's why worship is so powerful. This was the guy that would lead it. And one day, Lucifer finally goes, you know what? I feel like I can raise my throne above God. And pride entered his heart. He can compare himself, think he was better than God, and so he came against God. And Jesus quotes it, he said, like lightning from heaven, I seen who fall? Lucifer. When Lucifer was kicked out, he took a third of the angels with him in heaven. If you don't know what I'm talking about the devil. Lucifer's original name, the devil's original name is Lucifer. And he was this beautiful creation of God. That's why music is so powerful. That's why when you fill your ears with the wrong music, that's why it affects you more than you realize. Because the devil's, he's bumping that beat in your ears. Why was tonight so powerful? Because our worship cries out to God. It's not about us. It's about him. And so Lucifer, pride in his heart, he thought he could come against God. God was like, yeah, right, buddy boy. Jesus quotes it. He said, like lightning from heaven, I saw Satan fall from the sky. A third of the angels. So two things you got to know. One, there's a third of all the angels in heaven that are now called demons. And it's their very efforts. Everything they have, they're organized, they're militant. Their effort, guys, is to tempt you. It's to get things in front of you that will make you compare, that will make you lust, or will make you be greedy, or will make you want to lie or cheat, or make you do all these. And their goal is to get things in front of you and just pounce on you. And that's what they do. Every time when you're feeling that, you're like, the Apostle Paul said, the things that I want to do, I don't do, and the things I don't want to do, I do. And you're in that moment, you're like, why am I doing this? It's because Lucifer, the devil, and all those angels, demons, they're coming at you. So that's the first thing you need to know. It's very real. It is very real. And they're coming at you with everything they got. Let me tell you something else. The Bible says that he took a third of the angels. So a third of them are coming at you, but 2/3 are on our side. 2/3 are fighting for us. 2/3 are there to protect us. 2/3 of the angels in heaven and this awesome God that we have is on our side. Satan, he had this plan to take over God. Why? Why would he even think something so stupid? Why do we do the stupid things we do? Pride. It says in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 18, it says that pride comes before destruction. Really simple. It's a really simple thought. I remember when I was 21 and I was dating this girl, and I thought I loved her. I was so distracted. I thought she was the one. And I look back now and I think, what a joke. But in the midst of it, it just feels so real because you get so distracted. And I remember my dad called me up and he said, Dave, I've just been in prayer and God's just really told me that this girl, you need to break up with her. I'm 21 years old. And He said, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to make you do anything, but I just want to strongly encourage you. This girl is going to lead you down a path of destruction. Oh, and I wrestled so much with it. And I told him, okay. And I made him a promise. I said, I will stay away from this girl. And I remember I went back to my room and my buddies, I was telling them, and they were just like, what? That's so stupid. You're 21 years old. Your dad can't tell you what to do. And I started comparing what they had to say with what my dad had to say. And I was like good on the phone, but then when my friends started talking, it was almost like I gave my friends more power than my dad, and I started going back and forth. And that comparison, it just began to just light this fire of pride in me. I remember for a month straight, I snuck around with this girl. Without my parents knowing, they probably did know because good godly parents know everything, but I totally went against them. I was just so prideful, and I did what I wanted to do. I was so close to destroying my life. You guys see where I'm seated right now? You see what I do you see who I'm chilling with right now? You see what I do for a living? You see the call on my life? You see the massiveness of God's plan on my life right now? Like, look around really quick. Look at some people right now. Take them in, take their faces in, because they're pretty special next to you. Do you see the gravity of my decisions? Like, I didn't know it. 9 years ago, I didn't know it. But now as I step into this room, that all becomes real. That decision, that pride, that arrogance to do my thing, I thank God finally my attention was grabbed only after a month, and I snapped out of it. But that could have destroyed my life. I would have never met my wife. I'm like sitting here now that I've been married almost 4 years this next month, and I just know all of these things that one day God's going to step you in. These things, these decisions I was making, I didn't understand the gravity of them. But I started comparing, and I stopped listening to what God was saying. I started comparing to what was around me. And I almost lost everything. And I didn't know it at the time. I just thought, well, it's not the person I dated and all this, it's not a big deal. It was a big deal. It was a big deal. Because all this, I wouldn't have had any of this. This night would have never happened. Think about it. Really think about it. I would have never come here. I would have never ended up here. I would have never followed God's plan. I would have never married my wife. I would have never had the leadership team and all this that God's blessed us with. This night, He's blessed us, guys, to be here together. I wouldn't have had any of it. Why? I wouldn't have had it because I was so caught up in comparing. And some of you're caught up. There's insecurity, and it's all over your mind. You're so insecure. You have no confidence. Some of you're very caught up right now with a lot of sin because you've begun to compromise standards. And you said, I remember when I was 16, I got in this relationship, and I made so many bad moves. I sinned in so many ways. And you know why I kicked myself afterwards the most? Not because God didn't forgive me and all that, because I looked people in the eyes. I said, I'll never do that. That's so stupid. I will never do that. And I literally did all the exact things I said I would never do. Because compromise, it pulls you so deep into sin, and it fills you up so much with pride that you're led right to destruction. You don't even know it. Heads bowed, eyes closed. Some of you in the room, you're full of insecurity, and tonight's your night. Tonight's the night. Shake it off. We're going to get rid of it. You don't need it anymore. God wants to give you confidence. Tonight, some of you are compromising and compromising and compromising. Your friendships, your relationships, your decisions, everything. It's because you have been compromising God's plan for your life, and it's done. It's time. Stop it. Stop compromising. Some of you, this may be the hardest thing for some people to admit, but you are so prideful. You are so full of pride. We are all prideful. It's just a matter of tonight you saying, okay, that's me. I am so full of pride. I got some real issues I got to take care of tonight. I got some real business I need to do. And you'd be honest to say, I got some comparison going on in my life that I'll be honest enough with you, Pastor Dave. I'll tell you, yeah, that's me. I got to shake some stuff off tonight. Jesus forgives you. It's real simple. He forgives you. Will you forgive yourself? Will you gain confidence for yourself? Will you walk in what God has for you? Will you stop looking around everybody else and look to what God has for you? So if that's you tonight, this is what I want you to do. We're going to make a couple steps. One, if tonight for you it's insecurity with heads bowed and eyes closed, I want to be able to lock eyes with you because I want to be able to pray for you tonight. And you're saying, I got a lot of insecurity in my life. I'm riddled with it. Every day I feel so insecure about everything. I'm insecure about how I look or my weight, or I feel like I'm not as creative or talented as somebody, or I don't have anything to offer and I'm so insecure. If that's you, just pick up your head with heads bowed, eyes closed. Pick your head up. I want to look at you. Just look right in my eyes. I just want to look at you. Look in my eyes. Come on, look in my eyes. Look in my eyes. Look in my eyes. Yeah, look in my eyes. You're going to gain confidence right now. The Lord's going to give you confidence because when you look in my eyes, because I'm in the image of God, you're the image of God, we are looking right now in the eyes of Jesus. That's what we're doing. Look in my eyes. If I ain't looking at you, you weigh me down because I want to look into your eyes. Okay. I got you. Okay, put your heads down. Put your heads down. Beautiful. That's beautiful. Awesome, guys. It's done tonight. It's done tonight. Okay, number 2. You're compromising. You know you're compromising. Come on. Why are you in those friendships? Why are you dating that person? Why are you doing those things? You know you're compromising. You don't need to do that. You can have confidence tonight in who you are in Christ, that you're enough and you don't need all these other things to distract you and pull you away to compromise anymore. If that's you, pick your head up. Pick your head up and look at me. I'm compromising. I've been compromising. I've been compromising. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome. Did I get everybody? I've been compromising. I got you, I got you. Okay, put your head down. Last but not least, here's the hardest one to admit, but you could have the biggest set-free moment of your life tonight. You're prideful. You admit it. You know you're prideful. If that's you, pick your head up. You're struggling with that pride. You want to do your own thing. You want to do your own thing. You've been doing your own thing. You've been doing it your way. You think that your way is better than God's way. Good. I'm with you. I got you. Awesome. Okay, put your heads down. Put your heads down. Everybody stand up across the whole place. Do this. Just press forward. Just come press forward with me here. Feels good to stretch, huh? You've been seated the whole time. I've been standing the whole time. I should say it. No. Come on, just press in. Just press in. We're going to make a moment here for a second. We don't have to rush. We're going to have the whole night. We're going to be out of here in a second. Okay, listen. I know that we got a whole party waiting for us outside. But I don't want to rush this. I don't want to rush what God's doing. We're going to have plenty of time out there. Plenty of time. So I want you to zone in with me for a second. If you picked your head up with me and you looked in my eyes, we locked eyes. There's something beautiful there because, see, it was my confession and your confession. See, y'all thought I was just like looking at you to acknowledge you. No, I'm right with you. I'm not any better than you. I need Jesus just like you need Jesus. It's confession. It's power in that. You're saying, hey, I'm just a mess, God. Just please, like, work in me. So whatever you need tonight, this is what we're going to do. I want the band to just start leading us in that song, So Will I, again. We're going to worship. I'm going to pray with you here in a second. But I believe if comparison with Lucifer against God was the thing that kicked him out of heaven when he was the worship leader, then I think if we worship God and compare ourselves to God, because this is what happens. When you compare yourself to Jesus, 2 things that happen. 1, you realize how small you are and how big he is. 2, you realize how big you are because how big he is. How great you are in Jesus Christ, how much purpose you have. So 1, when I compare myself to Jesus, I go, man, he's perfect. I'm a mess. But then 2, I go, I can be like that. Man, he tells me I can, like through the Holy Spirit, I can be like that. dang straight. I'm going to be like that. Then I'm going to be like Jesus. Hey, I admire it. If you, some people have told me, Pastor Dave, I want to be like you. I admire that. I really do. But you know what? Let's just be like Jesus. I'd rather us all be like Jesus, because if you try to be like me, you're going to be good in some things and you're going to have a lot of things that are messed up. If you try to be like Jesus, if you aim to be more like Jesus. So what we're going to do here, we're going to pray a prayer to commit our hearts to Jesus, our lives, every part of us. But then as we begin to worship God, this is what's going to happen. I want you to just, if you don't know the words, stare at the screen and sing the words. If you don't want to sing the words, you just want to lift your hands, that's your declaration, whatever it is. I want you to make a moment, because see, as you worship God, you're comparing yourself with God and you're worshiping. And you're saying, you know what, Lucifer, he wanted to try to like overpower you. I don't. I just want to come under your power. And so if Lucifer was the worship leader that was trying to take over, I just want to be the worshiper that's just going to submit. And you're going to lift up your hands, and I want you to just, whatever you need tonight, you looked at me, right? And we locked, because I'm praying for you right now. But I want you to begin to worship God and see what he's going to start doing in your life. Because see, it's the power of moments like this that give you the momentum after this to go live for him. That's when you might delete some people off your social media. That's when you might stop hanging out with some people or dating some people or doing some things. It's because God's going to link right now his presence onto you. And then when you walk out of here, it's your job to shake some things off. So heads bowed, eyes closed. Pray this with me. Very simple, but it's a commitment we do together. Say, Jesus, I commit my whole life to you. Not just part of me, all of me. And I give you all control. I'm going to stop comparing to everybody and everything except you. I'm going to be looking straight at you from now on, because I need you in my life. I can't do this without you. So I'm humbling myself. I'm shaking off the pride. Give me confidence tonight so I don't have to be so insecure. But I can know I've been bought with a price, and you have a plan for my life. And Jesus, help me to stop compromising. Help me to stop doing things my way and getting caught up in all these traps that step by step pulls me from you. Open my eyes. Show me, Jesus, what you have for me, who I am. God, I pray over each one tonight. I thank you for your presence and your spirit in this place. And I ask, God, as you've already shown up in this whole night, I ask that we could end strong. And Lord, you would do something so phenomenal in every heart. I ask the Lord there be breakthroughs. I ask that there be tears that we cry to shed off some things, some memories, and some things that we would shed off. Some things that, Lord, as we step out, we would see you working so evidently in our lives in these next few moments that it's going to give us a new momentum, that we're not going to go back to some of these old ways. We're not going to go back to some of these old friends. We're not going to go back to some of these things that we've lowered standards in and compromise, but we're going to shake some dust off of our lives. We're going to shake some old habits off, and we're going to look with a new lens, the eyes of Jesus, fresh eyes, anointed eyes, purposeful eyes, that when we look out, we love the world around us, and we don't hate them, and we don't criticize them, and we don't judge them, but we love the world because we love ourselves. And so evidently in our lives in these next few moments, that it's going to give us a new momentum, that we're not going to go back to some of these old ways. We're not going to go back to some of these old friends. We're not going to go back to some of these things that we've lowered standards in and compromise, but we're going to shake some dust off of our lives. We're going to shake some old habits off, and we're going to look with a new lens, the eyes of Jesus, fresh eyes, anointed eyes, purposeful eyes, that when we look out, we love the world around us, and we don't hate them, and we don't criticize them, and we don't judge them, but we love the world because we love ourselves. And we can look at other people, and we can know that God has something great for their life, and they're beautiful, and they're purposeful, and they're special, because that's how we feel about ourselves. And so it starts tonight. The comparison sheds off, and Jesus starts tonight. We pray this in your awesome name. Everybody says tonight, amen.